Here's how to stay alive longer so you can enjoy Boost Mobile's unlimited plan with the price that never goes up. Do not mistake a wasp nest for a piñata. Stay alive and switch now at Boost Mobile. After 30 gigs, customers may experience lower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Mobile Unlimited plan.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed. Plus, free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
It's Saturday, the 14th of February. I'm Ciara Evans, and this was a week that saw Keir Starmer survive a series of scandals. The US Congress dig into the Epstein files. Japan's female Prime Minister score a dramatic victory, and tributes to Dawson's Creek star James Van Der Beek.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
But not the news.
After more than 10 days of scandal and headlines sparked by the release of 3 million documents from the Epstein files, the Mandelson crisis saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff quit on Sunday. Morgan McSweeney was one of Starmer's closest advisors, and he chose Sunday lunchtime to announce his resignation, saying that he took full responsibility for the vetting process that saw Lord Mandelson, a longtime friend of Jeffrey Epstein, appointed as the UK's US ambassador. Labour backbenchers have been increasingly outraged as more details on Mandelson's relationship with Epstein emerged, and Keir Starmer's own position remained at risk. Politico's Anne McElvoy says that the resignation leaves the PM in a difficult position.
That is pretty much the last step before you swing for the king, in this case, in Keir Starmer. But the trouble is, it means that, you've used up any potential you had to keep him in place through these bad elections, which are around the corner.
Labour peer Baroness Hazarika is a former government special advisor, and she says the whole affair has been a disaster for her party.
This has been an absolutely shameful week for the Labour Party, particularly a party which has always prided itself on wanting to stand up for women and girls. I have never known rage and fury and devastation as I have over this last week.
The resignation of Starmer's Chief of Staff drew comments from the opposition, with Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davey saying that even with McSweeney's resignation, the buck stops with the PM. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch said that Starmer has to take responsibility for his own terrible decisions, and Shadow Cabinet Minister Alex Burghardt was calling on Labour MPs to make their feelings clear.
I've never thought he was fit to be Prime Minister. What I'm saying now is that I don't think his position is politically tenable. And it was very striking. I was in there, I led that debate. I was in the Commons for 6 hours, and nobody stood up to defend the Prime Minister. Monday saw more exits from Downing Street in the wake of the ongoing Mandelson-inspired crisis, but Prime Minister Keir Starmer was not, as yet, one of those departing. Instead, he began a process of shaking up his closest advisors, with former Tony Blair spin doctor Tim Allen, who was only appointed Communications Chief in September, also exiting. It appeared that Senior Civil Servant and Cabinet Secretary Chris Wormald could also depart from Downing Street. While the PM was set to fight on, there was a very public call for him to resign from the leader of Scottish Labour, Anna Sarwar, on Monday lunchtime.
The distraction needs to end, and the leadership in Downing Street has to change.
It's not clear whether that statement was supposed to be part of a push against the PM, but no one else spoke up. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch was clear in her position, however.
This is all Labour psychodrama. He needs to get a grip. The country is not being governed. They have no time at all to look at the problems that are out there. They're only focused on their internal problems.
The PM addressed a packed Labour Parliamentary Party meeting on Monday evening, telling MPs that he was not going to back down and that every fight I've ever been in, I've won. So far, Cabinet Ministers are publicly backing him, and recently elected Labour Deputy Leader Lucy Powell was happy to support the boss and his agenda.
We've got a country to run, and we've got change that we're trying to deliver, and the last thing we need right now is all this speculation looking inwards on ourselves. Yes, we've got to do better, but we're all focused on that as one Labour team with Keir as our leader.
There's been plenty of speculation about Health Secretary Wes Streeting's ambitions, and he chose Monday to release a string of text messages he'd had with Peter Mandelson as an exercise in transparency, but he's made no public move to run for leader as yet. Baroness Smith is the leader of the House of Lords, and she's keen that the PM should stay and fight.
I have not spoken to him directly about this, but
so
I don't
know, and I don't
believe he will. I don't think he should. And it was the British public that elected him to serve a 5-year term and to change this country.
Understood.
Tuesday saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer still firmly ensconced in Downing Street after a bruising political battle that saw him come close to losing the confidence of his party as the crisis sparked by Peter Mandelson almost spiralled out of control. The PM had turned things around with a strong speech to the parliamentary party and a promise of a reset, and he reiterated that message at Tuesday morning's cabinet meeting.
I will never walk away from the mandate I was given to change this country. I will never walk away from the people that I am charged with fighting for, and I will never walk away from the country that I love.
It appeared as though the crisis had passed, but Tory leader Kemi Badenoch wasn't convinced that the PM had long left at number 10. She was out and about on Tuesday working at a morning shift at McDonald's, presumably not because she needs the money, but because she's a woman of the people. She did, however, forget to wear a hairnet, which got her a health and safety warning. She said Starmer's only delaying the inevitable.
His MPs have given him a stay of execution because they are terrified of losing their own jobs. So it is only now a matter of when he goes, not if he goes.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer was under fire on two fronts on Wednesday at Prime Minister's Question Time, where he found himself apologising for the fact that his former communications chief Matthew Doyle did not give a full account of his actions before he was nominated for a peerage. The circumstances appear to involve Doyle campaigning for a friend who was charged with possessing indecent images, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Lib Dem leader Sir Ed Davies says it reflects poorly on the PM.
To appoint one paedophile supporter cannot be excused as misfortune. To appoint two shows a catastrophic lack of judgment.
The second crisis for Starmer came as he addressed a meeting of Labour's female MPs who have become infuriated with what they see as a boys' club at number 10. Starmer didn't go as far as committing to appointing a new female First Secretary of State, which was Harriet Harman's demand, but he did pledge to eradicate structural misogyny. He was also keen to defend himself against attacks from Tory leader Kemi Badenoch.
My legacy is changing my party and winning a general election. And I'll tell you this. I kicked my former leader out of my party. Her former leader, Liz Truss, broke the economy and has descended into bonkers conspiracy theories.
There was another departure from Downing Street on Thursday, but once again it wasn't Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Instead, the senior civil servant who acts as Cabinet Secretary, Sir Chris Wormald, left by mutual agreement, according to number 10. He was only appointed to the role in December 2024 and became the shortest serving Cabinet Secretary in history. A replacement will be appointed in due course, but it's clear that the PM is taking the reboot of his office seriously. Health Secretary and potential leadership challenger Wes Streeting was backing Starmer's changes on Thursday.
This Prime Minister is a man of decency and integrity. I trust him to do that, and we will all be putting our shoulder to the wheel as a team to support him to take the country from where it was when we came in to where we want it to be.
In the Commons, the Tories were continuing to chase the second appointment scandal, which is over the appointment of Starmer's former Communications Secretary of the House of Lords. Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Alex Burkhardt, has been keen to know whether the change in Cabinet Secretary will delay any of the inquiries into the scandals.
Will the Minister commit to publishing all documentation relating to the nomination of Matthew Doyle as a peer? This is now a matter of acute public interest. The Minister will appreciate that confidence in this government's integrity is very low. I hope he will comply in full.
Well, the shockwaves from the release of the Epstein files has travelled around the world. Epstein's confidant and longtime companion, Ghislaine Maxwell, testified in front of the US Congress Oversight Committee on Monday. The hearing was virtual and behind closed doors as Maxwell is serving a prison sentence for sex trafficking, and her lawyer began the hearing by promising she would cooperate if granted clemency by President Trump. That pardon hasn't been forthcoming, but Trump hasn't ruled it out either. So with no pardon, Maxwell took the fifth for every single question as is her constitutional right. It left Democrats on the committee frustrated and annoyed, as committee member and Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett eloquently explained.
I don't really know where we are in this country. The United States is falling apart right now. Partially because he's allowing for the killings of people in the middle of the street. But the other part of it is that we have a 34-count convicted felon, and there are people that are still shielding him from any type of accountability as it relates to a child sex trafficking ring.
Well, the US Justice Department released 3 million documents as what they said was the final tranche of Epstein files. It's become clear that there are plenty more documents which have been held back. Congressional members have been given limited access to the additional documents, and Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Mazie used constitutional privilege to announce the names of 6 powerful men who were in the files on the floor of Congress on Tuesday. Congressman Jamie Raskin says that the president's name comes up a lot.
Donald Trump's name is all over these files. If you spend any real time with these files, you will see references to 17-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, 10-year-old girls, and I saw a reference today to a 9-year-old girl.
Meanwhile, at a Senate Appropriations hearing, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick found himself in the spotlight over his association with Epstein, despite his claim that he cut ties in 2005. Lutnick offered a truly strange anecdote in response to questioning about a visit to Epstein's Island in 2012.
My wife was with me, as were my 4 children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children.
The US Congress has continued to investigate the Trump administration's chaotic approach to the release of the Epstein files, and Attorney General Pam Bondi appeared before the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. She proved to be a difficult witness over a 5-hour hearing, attacking Democrats for asking her questions while also protecting President Trump at all costs. The audience of one in the White House may have been impressed, but even Republican Congressman Jim Jordan's patience seemed to be wearing thin by the end of the session. Bondi refused to apologise to Epstein victims who were in the room, but did at one point express a wish that Ghislaine Maxwell would die in jail. Republican Congressman Thomas Mazie, who co-sponsored the bill to release the files, seemed to draw particular ire from Bondi.
There was one redaction out of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed politician. You need to get along.
This week has seen no sign of further progress in the peace talks between Ukraine, the US and Russia, despite suggestions that the next meeting might take place in the US and that the Trump administration was keen to have the process concluded by June. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Tuesday that there is still a long way to go when it comes to peace talks, and with no date set, it's unlikely that a breakthrough is going to happen soon. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has continued to tighten his control over Russian media and internet with a new move to ban the messaging app Telegram and a push to get people to use the messaging app run by Russia's military intelligence, the FSB. Russian politician Andrei Gurulov says it's a matter of national security.
Information security is one of the main parts of the struggle between us and NATO countries. I understand this is inconvenient for many people. However, there are still imperatives to the times and threats to information security.
With no confirmation of a date for the third round of peace talks, Russia has once again stepped up its drone and missile attacks on Ukraine. The strikes, which are targeting transport and energy infrastructure, have been almost nightly, with the city of Kharkiv a recurring target. A strike on Wednesday morning killed a father and 3 toddlers, while the children's mother escaped with burns, and a state of emergency has now been declared in the city as power and heating has failed. Speaking in advance of the weekend's Munich Security Conference, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte says his recent visit to Kyiv gives him confidence that the Ukrainian people will triumph.
President Putin is trying to break the people of Ukraine, hoping to weaken their resolve. But Ukraine and the Ukrainian people have shown time and again that they will not be broken.
Ukraine made sporting headlines on Thursday as former Ukrainian soldier Vladislav Haraskevich was banned from competing for his country in the Winter Olympics. He's a competitor in the men's skeleton event, but he's planned to wear a helmet of remembrance marking fellow athletes killed during the Russian invasion, drew a ban from the International Olympic Committee. Meanwhile, NATO defence ministers met in Belgium on Thursday in advance of a meeting of the Ukraine Contact Group, which is made up of 50 countries who coordinate weapons supplies for Kyiv. UK Defence Minister John Healey was amongst those attending as he brought good news for Ukrainian President Zelensky, as the UK committed to contribute over £500 million to buy weapons through a NATO scheme.
This is Britain being a force for good in the world, building a new deal for European security within NATO. And I'm proud of the UK's armed forces.
Donald Trump has long claimed that global warming is a hoax, and he spent a lot of his first term promising to drill, baby, drill, and giving out about wind turbines, which he claims kill birds and harm whales. Thursday saw his climate-denying head of the Environmental Protection Agency, Lee Zeldin, roll back a major scientific finding which could see the US government abandon any attempt to reduce pollution or attempt to control greenhouse gases. The decision to delete the ruling that climate change endangers human health and the environment means that the federal government no longer has legal authority to impose controls on emissions of carbon dioxide, methane and other gases. It means no more controls on car engines, no more commitments to renewable energy, and Trump was of course blaming someone else for introducing the measures in the first place.
This was all a scam, a giant scam. This was a rip-off of the country by Obama and Biden. And let's say Obama started it and got it rolling. And a terrible rip-off.
Still to come on the Standout 7 in association with Metro's sweeping victory for Japan's first female Prime Minister and tributes to a 90s TV icon.
Right after this.
ClickUp just solved AI's biggest problem, and it's saving 4 million teams from productivity loss every day. Unlike ChatGPT and other AI tools, ClickUp converges all your work into one platform, so your AI super agents have full context to prioritize tasks, execute workflows, and draft documents instantly. Teams using ClickUp finish work 30% faster and cut meetings in half. Try ClickUp for free today and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
By this point in the year, routines are real, not aspirational. And when it comes to supplements you're taking every day, trust really matters. But choosing the right supplements can be confusing, especially in a low-regulation space, which means a lot of products cut corners, skip testing, or don't fully disclose what's inside. That's exactly why I choose Momentous. They've become the high-trust brand in a low-trust category. They weren't satisfied with the industry standard, so they built the Momentous standard. Their commitment to doing things the right way, not the easy way. What truly sets Momentous apart is their testing and transparency. Every product is independently certified by NSF for sport, meaning it's tested for contaminants, heavy metals, banned substances, and verified for label accuracy. So you always know exactly what you're putting in your body. And if a product doesn't meet their standard, it never hits the shelves. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners up to 35% off your first order with promo code ACAST. Head to livemomentous.com and use promo code ACAST for up to 35% off your first order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code ACAST.
Welcome back.
Sunday saw Japan's dramatic snap election come to a dramatic conclusion as Japan's first female Prime Minister appeared to have won by a landslide. Sanae Takaichi is the leader of the Liberal Democratic Party, and she and her coalition allies won a 2/3 majority in Japan's House of Representatives, picking up 352 seats out of a total of 465. Takaichi, who Prime Minister Keir Starmer visited just last weekend, is a charismatic character who has energised voters by sharing her personal life and daily activities on social media, including playing drums with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. She had pledged to step down if she didn't win the election, and Robert Ward, who is the Japan chair of the Institute of Strategic Studies, says that Takaichi's victory isn't a surprise.
She's a breath of fresh air in many respects for the Japanese political scene, and she's has far outclassed in terms of charisma and star appeal all her opponents.
Canada has been shaken this week by a brutal school shooting which took place in the small town of Tumbler Ridge in British Columbia on Wednesday. The town only has a population of about 2,400 people, and the attack on a local school saw the death of at least 9 people, including the suspected shooter, and 25 people injured. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney addressed the nation.
Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up
without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you.
The suspect has been named as Jesse Van Roetseler, who was just 18 years of age but had dropped out of school a number of years ago. Police confirmed that they had visited the suspect's house a number of times over mental health issues, and 2 of those killed appeared to be the suspect's mother and stepbrother. The Premier of British Columbia, David Elby, called on fellow citizens to support those affected by the tragedy.
I'd like to take this opportunity to ask British Columbians, to ask all Canadians, to wrap the people of Tumbler Ridge, wrap these families with love. Not just tonight, but tomorrow and into the future. This is something that will reverberate for years to come.
If you grew up in the 90s, the sound of Paula Cole's song I Don't Wanna Wait will instantly make you think of Dawson's Creek. The show, which ran for 6 seasons, followed the story of a group of friends as they tackled adolescence and friendships, with the cast including Joshua Jackson, Michelle Williams and Katie Holmes. And of course, the Dawson from the title, Dawson Leary, played by James Van Der Beek. The actor has spent the last number of years battling bowel cancer, and on Wednesday his family announced that he had died aged just 48, leaving behind wife Kimberly and 6 children. He spent the time since his diagnosis raising funds and campaigning to raise awareness of the need to take symptoms seriously, and he's told his 1.6 million Instagram followers that finding out he had cancer caused a re-evaluation of everything he held dear. Rest in peace, James.
And so I was faced with the question, if I am just a too skinny, weak guy alone in an apartment with cancer, what am I? And I meditated and the answer came through. I am worthy of God's love.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
ClickUp just solved AI's biggest problem, and it's saving 4 million teams from productivity loss every day. Unlike ChatGPT and other AI tools, ClickUp converges all your work into one platform, so your AI super agents have full context to prioritize tasks, execute workflows, and draft documents instantly. Teams using ClickUp finish work 30% faster and cut meetings in half. Try ClickUp for free today and get 15% off AI upgrades at clickup.com/podcast. That's CLICKUP.com/podcast.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side, your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, during our President's Day sale, take 50% off our limited edition bed, plus free premium delivery with any bed and base. Ends Monday. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.